June 1942. The Pacific roared with chaos, and America stood on the edge of defeat. Only 3 carriers remained after Pearl Harbor, and one of them, the USS Yorktown, was barely afloat.
Faster,
Her
men,
decks
faster!
were scarred,
The sooner she floats, the
her
sooner we win
hull
this war.
leaking.
Get that beat!
Yet she was ordered back into battle.
Hurry up!
There was no time for doubt. The fate of the Pacific rested on a wounded ship. Over 70 years later, historians would call it a miracle. 1,400 men working around the clock to bring her back to life in just 72 hours. As the welders' torches lit the night, few realized that Yorktown would soon write one of the most decisive chapters of the Pacific War. She would strike a blow at Midway that changed history and then vanish beneath the waves. To most Americans, the USS Yorktown was just a name in the headlines. But to the men of the Pacific Fleet, she was their last lifeline, the beating heart of a Navy struggling to survive. Commissioned in 1937, Yorktown stretched nearly 810 feet from bow to stern and could slice through the ocean at 32 knots. She carried almost 90 aircraft, turning the sea itself into her runway. Wherever she sailed, she brought the fight to the enemy. Her crew of more than 2,000 men formed a living machine. Pilots, gunners, and deck crews moved with clockwork precision, each second synchronized to the rhythm of survival. On her flight deck, the wind howled like a living creature, tearing at uniforms as sailors armed aircraft, fueled bombers, and cleared launch paths in a ballet of danger. Every spot, every loose bolt could mean death, yet they carried on because they knew the Pacific had no room for mistakes. By early 1942, the U.S. Navy was stretched to its limit. After the devastation at Pearl Harbor, only Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown remained to challenge Japan's empire. Every sortie, every patrol, every mission carried the weight of a nation. There were no replacements, no backups waiting in dockyards. If one carrier fell, America's presence in the Pacific could crumble overnight. The men aboard Yorktown understood this grim arithmetic. They weren't just fighting for victory. They were fighting to buy time, to hold the line until reinforcements could be built, until hope could return. To lose Yorktown
This is the only way through.
would
Prepare
mean
for evasive
surrendering
maneuvers.
half the Pacific. To save her meant gambling everything they had left, and soon that gamble would begin. When Yorktown limped back to Pearl Harbor on May 27, 1942, her decks were still scorched from the Coral Sea. Engineers said she'd need at least 2 weeks in dry dock, but Admiral Chester Nimitz saw no time. Midway was days away. His order was simple and impossible. Yorktown must sail in 3 days. Then came the miracle. Over 1,400 workers, Navy and civilian, swarmed the shipyard in rolling shifts. Welders patched bomb holes with molten steel, sparks raining into pools of oil.
Watch the heat on that beam!
Electricians
Bring
rerouted
it down
power
harder.
cables through
Clear the
scorched
area now.
bulkheads. Boiler crews crawled through flooded compartments, sealing leaks by hand. Safety rules vanished. There was only the ticking clock and the smell of hot metal. Power grids in Honolulu dimmed as electricity was diverted to the docks. Meals were eaten on workbenches. Men slept where they stood. By dawn on May 30th, the hull was sealed, the elevators raised, and the flight deck cleared. Yorktown was not whole, but she was alive, patched together by sheer will and sweat.
Set the
At
brakes.
dawn
Full
on
power.
June
Yorktown,
4th,
this is Dauntless 3, ready for launch.
1942,
Launch the aircraft.
Yorktown faced her reckoning. The
All hands
Pacific
prepare for
stretched
launch cycle.
calm and endless,
Mako
but
2-2,
everyone
fully
aboard
configured,
knew
pressure is
that
set.
before
Clear launch,
sunset,
clear launch.
it would burn. At 8:40 a.m., Captain Elliot Buckmaster gave the order, launch the strike. The deck erupted into motion. 17 SBD Dauntless dive bombers, 12 TBD Devastator torpedo planes, and 6 F-4F Wildcats thundered forward. Within minutes, the sky above Yorktown was alive with wings. Their target, the Japanese carrier group threatening Midway. Radio silence cloaked the fleet. Each man understood his odds, low and grim. The torpedo bombers would fly slow and level, drawing enemy fire. The dauntless dive bombers would fall from the sky like hawks, searching for the moment to strike. At 10:20 a.m., they found their mark, the Japanese carrier Soryu, decks crowded with fueled aircraft. 3 1,000-pound bombs from Yorktown's SBDs pierced her flight deck, igniting chain explosions that engulfed her in fire. The blast rose like a volcanic plume, black, towering, final. The battle's fury had quieted, but on Yorktown, the war was far from over. Smoke
going, almost there.
curled from the deck. The
It's holding,
air
hit it again.
reeked of fuel and scorched paint. Below, engineers waded through rising water, sealing bulkheads and rerouting power. Every clang of metal echoed through the ship's wounded frame. They weren't fighting the Japanese anymore. They were fighting the ocean itself. Amid the chaos stood Chief Water Tender Oscar V. Peterson. Waist deep in boiling water, his skin blistered and burned. He gripped the steam valves with raw hands, refusing to abandon his post. Flames licked the bulkheads around him as
Advance
the
the
pressure
line! Hit
gauges
the overhead!
danced
More
violently.
pressure! Keep moving!
Peterson's calm voice came through the intercom,
Keep moving!
steady,
Hit that bulkhead
unbroken,
now!
while his body
We're
fought
advancing.
to keep
More
the
water,
boilers
focus on the
from
left side.
exploding. He held the line long enough for the damage control teams to stabilize the ship. For his courage, he would earn the Medal of Honor, but not survival. When
Secure
they
the starboard
found
cleat.
him,
Alright,
the
hold
gauges
fast.
were steady,
All right, pull the
and the
tension
ship
slowly.
was still alive. His sacrifice had bought Yorktown time. By nightfall, the listing had eased. Pumps throbbed in the dark as sailors counter-flooded compartments, trying to balance the wounded giant. The Pacific was calm again, deceptively gentle, as if offering mercy. Crews prepared to tow Yorktown home, a battered survivor of Coral Sea and Midway. June 6, 1942. The Pacific lay deceptively still, a calm veil hiding death beneath. Around the drifting Yorktown, destroyers circled like anxious sentinels, their sonar pings echoing through the deep. The battered carrier had survived bombs, torpedoes, and fire, but her fate was already sealed by a silent hunter. Beneath the waves, the Japanese submarine I-168 crept forward. Her periscope broke the surface for just seconds, catching a glimpse of the wounded giant above. At 1:35 p.m., I-168's tubes streaked 4 torpedoes. 2 slammed into Yorktown's port side. The third struck the nearby destroyer USS Hammond, ripping her apart in a single thunderous blast. The shockwave hurled men overboard. The sea turned black with oil and flame. Within minutes, Hammond vanished beneath the surface, taking many of her crew with her.
Get up the
Aboard
ladder, hurry!
Yorktown, chaos erupted again. The deck
Grab my
heaved,
hand, force the
men
hatch.
were thrown to the floor, bulkheads buckled under the shock. Water poured through the ruptured hull as the ship listed sharply to port. Damage control crews rushed to seal the breaches, but the flooding was unstoppable. Orders crackled through the loudspeakers, abandon ship, yet many refused to leave, still clinging to the hope that she could be saved one last time. By midnight, the horizon was quiet again. The wounded carrier drifted alone under a blanket of stars. Her hull groaned as compartments filled, the sea swallowing her inch by inch. Some sailors floated nearby in rafts, watching in silence, unwilling to turn away. Then, as dawn broke on June 7th, Yorktown gave one final lurch. The ocean tilted her like a weary giant bowing for the last time. For decades, the Pacific kept its secret. 16,650 feet below the surface, Yorktown lay in darkness, her decks blanketed by silt and time. No light reached her resting place, only the slow drift of the deep and the echo of silence. To those who had served aboard her, she was more than a ship. She was a promise unfulfilled, a chapter left unwritten. For over half a century, survivors spoke of her in hushed tones, as if she still waited for them somewhere beneath the waves. The war had moved on, but their memories never did. The sea had become her grave, unmarked yet eternal, holding within it not just steel and machinery, but the spirits of men who refused to be forgotten. In May 1998, silence gave way to discovery. Dr. Robert Ballard, the man who had found the Titanic, returned to the Pacific, determined to locate the lost carrier. Guided by wartime charts and the faint coordinates of memory, his team swept the ocean floor northeast of Midway. For days, they found nothing but sand and twisted metal. Then, one night, the monitors flickered to life. A massive shadow emerged from the darkness, upright and almost untouched. The nameplate read, Yorktown. Her gun still pointed skyward, her flight deck scarred but proud. Yorktown looked as though she was merely waiting for her crew to return. After 56 years, history was no longer a mystery. It was alive again.
Tension set.
Glowing
She's
in the
ready to
beams
fly.
of modern light. The story of Yorktown reminds us that strength is not measured by perfection, but by endurance. Even when broken, even when the world says it's over, you can still rise, still make history. Like her crew, we too face storms, but courage, teamwork, and belief can turn even defeat into legacy. If this story moved you, leave a comment below about what Yorktown means to you. And don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the forgotten depths of history. Your support helps these stories live on.